Alex Eala may have just created a problem Cincinnati never expected to have. The 17th seed arrived at the Cincinnati Open with a growing international following, and within days, the attention around her matches became impossible to ignore. What makes this especially interesting is that the so-called demand in the headline is not a formal request from Eala to tournament director Bob Moran. There is no confirmed ultimatum, no leaked negotiation, and no public scheduling dispute. The real demand is coming from the audience. And that audience is becoming a serious operational factor. Eala's matches are drawing Filipino supporters and tennis fans from outside the immediate Cincinnati area, with fans online describing packed areas around her appearances and even people traveling from states away to watch her play. That matters because Cincinnati has spent years transforming itself into one of the sport's biggest events, and its new infrastructure was built around the idea of creating a larger, more global tournament experience. Eala's rise is testing that ambition in real time. Welcome back to the channel. If you follow Alex Eala's remarkable rise and want clear updates without the unnecessary hype, make sure you subscribe. Because what is happening around Eala in Cincinnati is bigger than one match, and it deserves to be understood from both sides. The player trying to win matches and the tournament trying to manage a rapidly expanding audience. The timing could hardly be more dramatic. Eala entered Cincinnati as the number 17 seed after a breakthrough stretch on North American hard courts. She had already won her first WTA Tour singles title in Washington, defeating Jessica Pegula in the final, and then continued her run in Toronto before reaching a career-high ranking of number 20. That is the competitive foundation behind the attention. This is not a player receiving publicity without results. Her ranking, title and recent performances have given fans a reason to believe that something much bigger may be developing. And Cincinnati itself is not an ordinary stop on the calendar. The tournament has been expanding its footprint and presenting itself as a premium two-week tennis experience. Its 2026 event is scheduled to run through August 23rd, with the tournament continuing to build on the transformation of its facility and its growing importance on the North American hardcourt swing. The official tournament has described the event as coming off an award-winning 2025 edition, which makes the Eala situation particularly interesting. Cincinnati is already thinking about scale. Now consider what happened before Eala even reached Cincinnati. In Toronto, the tournament publicly acknowledged an extraordinary response to her presence. The reference material surrounding this story describes a Wednesday night session selling out rapidly, with tournament staff noticing unusual demand before the schedule was even finalized. That example is important because it gives Cincinnati something to compare against. Toronto was not simply dealing with people watching a popular player online. The interest was translating into ticketing decisions, court assignments, and the atmosphere inside the venue. That is why the phrase Alex Eala demand has become so powerful. It describes something much larger than a request made by an athlete. A player can ask for a practice court or a scheduling preference, but she cannot personally create thousands of ticket inquiries. Fans do that. Families traveling to matches do that. Communities organizing trips do that. People buying resale tickets do that. And when a tournament sees those numbers, the operations team has to respond whether the player asks for anything or not. The Cincinnati situation became even more interesting when Eala's second-round match against Elena Gabriela Ruse became a genuine crowd story. Eala entered as the 17th seed and had a first-round bye. Ruse advanced to meet her, but the match itself did not follow the straightforward script. Eala took the opening set 6-1 and led 3-0 when Ruse retired during a rain interruption because of an ankle issue. That result sent Eala into the next round, but the crowd response around her appearance was already becoming one of the talking points surrounding the tournament. The interesting question is what Cincinnati does with that. Information next. The tournament has multiple courts and a much larger operation than a small WTA event, but that does not mean every court is interchangeable. Capacity, ticketing access, television requirements, scheduling, player recovery, weather and the rest of the order of play all have to be considered. One online discussion around Eala's Cincinnati match even raised the question of whether her next appearance should be moved to a more heavily ticketed court. That is not an official tournament decision, but it shows how quickly fans have started thinking operationally about where she should play. And this is where Bob Moran enters the story. Moran is Cincinnati's tournament director, and he has been associated with the event's transformation and major operational decisions. Earlier this month, when Carlos Alcaraz withdrew from Cincinnati because of his ongoing wrist injury, Moran publicly wished him well and said the tournament looked forward to welcoming him back. That statement illustrates the normal relationship between a tournament director and a major star: manage the event, communicate professionally, and protect the tournament's interests. But Eala represents a different kind of challenge. With established superstars, tournaments generally know what the audience expects. They have years of ticketing history, television data, and attendance patterns. With Eala, the growth has happened incredibly quickly. Her professional profile has changed dramatically, and the audience surrounding her has expanded alongside it. The tournament therefore has less historical data to work with. It is trying to predict demand for a player whose popularity may be growing faster than the traditional models can measure. That is the part tennis experts should be watching. The story is not simply that Filipino fans are enthusiastic. Tennis has passionate fan bases everywhere. The more significant development is that Eala appears to be connecting competitive success with a new audience that sees her as a representative of something much larger than a single athlete. She is Filipino, she is young, she is winning major matches, and she is doing it at precisely the moment when the sport is trying to broaden its international reach. Those factors reinforce each other. The Toronto example makes the point especially clearly. The reference material describes tournament officials noticing an unusual volume of inquiries and then adjusting their thinking around Eala's schedule. One of the most revealing details was the involvement of ticketing personnel who were able to recognize the Filipino community's interest early. That is the sort of information that rarely appears in highlight videos. But from a tournament's perspective, it may be more valuable than a spectacular forehand. Ticket demand is measurable, and measurable demand affects business decisions. Cincinnati also has another reason to pay attention. The event has invested heavily in its physical transformation. The reference material places that investment at approximately $260 million, while the tournament's public messaging has emphasized its expanded campus, new facilities, and larger overall experience. When an organization invests at that scale, it needs more than impressive buildings. It needs audiences willing to fill them. A rapidly growing player like Eala can become part of that equation almost by accident. That does not mean Cincinnati is suddenly dependent on Alex Eala. It would be inaccurate to say that. The tournament has a deep field, major stars, and enormous tennis significance regardless of one player. It also would be inaccurate to claim that Moran has publicly admitted being stunned by a formal Eala demand when no such confirmed statement has been established. The stronger and more credible story is actually more subtle. Eala's audience is creating a level of attention that tournament planners have to account for. And that distinction matters. Sensational headlines can make it sound as though Eala walked into Cincinnati and told the tournament director exactly what she wanted. There is no evidence of that. What we can say is that the market around her is speaking loudly. Fans are showing up. People are discussing court assignments. Supporters are traveling significant distances. Her matches are attracting attention beyond the normal expectations attached to a 17th seed. Those are the facts that make the story interesting without needing to invent a confrontation. The competitive side makes the situation even stronger. Eala did not arrive in Cincinnati because of a marketing campaign. She arrived because she had earned the number 17 seed. Her breakthrough in Washington was followed by a strong Toronto run, and those results pushed her into the top 20 for the first time. That means tournament officials are not merely dealing with a popular player. They are dealing with a seeded player who legitimately belongs in the later stages of a WTA 1000 draw. And that changes the scheduling conversation. If Eala keeps advancing, her matches naturally become more important. A player who reaches the third round, fourth round, or quarterfinals requires different operational consideration than a player expected to leave in the opening rounds. Add the audience factor and the situation becomes even more complicated. Suddenly the tournament is balancing sporting merit with expected demand, while still respecting the normal scheduling principles that apply to every player. The next opponent is also part of the intrigue. After Ruse's retirement, Eala moved into the next round, where she is scheduled to face the winner of Sonmez and Amanda Anisimova. That potential matchup immediately raises the stakes because Anisimova is one of the most recognizable names in the draw and represents a much different competitive test. If Eala reaches that stage and the audience response continues, the tournament could find itself dealing with an even larger spotlight. And here is where the title of this video becomes relevant in a different way. Tennis experts are not really losing it because a tournament director was confronted by Alex Eala. They are paying attention because the normal assumptions about where a player sits in the commercial hierarchy may be changing. A 17th seed is not usually expected to generate the same logistical conversation as a top 4 star. But popularity does not always follow ranking. Sometimes the audience moves faster than the ranking system. That is what makes Eala's rise so fascinating. Rankings measure results. Ticket sales measure demand. Television numbers measure reach. Social media measures attention. None of those metrics is identical, and sometimes they move at completely different speeds. Eala's competitive ranking has climbed rapidly, but her audience may be expanding just as quickly. Cincinnati is one of the first major events where those two curves are meeting at the same time. The tournament's own recent history also provides useful context. Cincinnati has been rewarded for the quality of its recent event, and the official 2026 announcement highlighted its 2025 ATP and WTA 1000 Tournament of the Year accolades. That tells us the organizers are already operating with an ambitious standard. They are not trying merely to survive the calendar. They are trying to become one of the defining events of the summer. For that kind of tournament, emerging stars are extremely valuable. A player like Eala can introduce the event to people who might never have considered buying a ticket to Cincinnati before. Filipino communities across the United States can suddenly become a new audience segment. Fans who followed her breakthrough in Washington or Toronto may now have a reason to watch Cincinnati. And if those fans enjoy the tournament itself, the effect could extend beyond one match. That is the commercial opportunity hidden inside the tennis story. A tournament does not necessarily need another established superstar to create growth. Sometimes it needs a player whose personal story gives a new audience a reason to care. Eala's rise provides exactly that kind of connection. She has already become a symbol of Filipino tennis success, and her results have given that emotional connection a competitive foundation. But Eala herself appears to understand that the attention can become a distraction. The reference material describes her as measured and focused, particularly when discussing the enormous attention surrounding her. That is important because the tournament may be thinking about ticket demand while Eala is thinking about something much simpler, the next ball. The more successful she becomes, the more people will want access to her matches, but her job remains the same. Prepare, compete, recover, and repeat. There is also an important human side to the crowd story. When supporters travel from other states to watch a tennis match, they are not behaving like ordinary casual spectators. They are treating the event as something worth planning around. Online reports from Cincinnati described fans arriving from places including the Chicago area, while discussions suggested that supporters were traveling significant distances specifically to see Eala. These are community behaviors, not simply individual purchases. That is precisely the kind of development tournament executives notice. One ticket purchase tells you very little. A pattern tells you something. Repeated demand across cities tells you much more. And if the same audience appears in Toronto, then Cincinnati, and eventually at the US Open, tennis organizers have evidence that they are looking at something sustainable rather than a one-week curiosity. The US